And we're off. I got plenty of tape. Plenty of time. How you doing, Didio?
Okay,
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
It's still May 26th, 2002. And we're going to talk about the life of George. So you were born in 1923.
That's correct, as far as I know.
As far as you know, September 3rd, 1923. Where?
At 742 Winchester Street in Chicago, Illinois, across the street from the county hospital.
742. Tell them I'll talk to them tomorrow. 742. So is that the 700 block?
Correct.
So that would be 7 blocks south
Of Madison.
of Madison. So right downtown.
We were, 2.5 miles west of downtown.
Okay, so 2.5 miles from the beach,
Roughly,
roughly. And did they have a beach there then?
in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, was it open public area?
Oh, yeah, sure. Certainly.
And you lived in an apartment?
In a house, I believe. I think it was a wooden frame house, but I'm not certain.
A wooden frame house
Probably a two-story house,
that your parents rented?
rented, correct.
And where was your father from?
He was born in Chicago, Illinois,
He was born there too?
correct.
And your mother?
She was born in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, really? When did she move?
Probably in her later teens. She met my father through working with my Aunt Annie, who was my father's sister, and meeting my father, and they wound up getting married.
So how many generations on your father's side were in the country since they immigrated? Or?
They came here in 1850
Oh, really?
through the port of Boston, and I believe his great-grandfather was the one that come in 1850.
Wow. How about on your mother's side?
Her grandfather came in through New Orleans in 1863, I believe it was, and went to St. Louis, and they put a uniform on him and sent him right back down south to serve in the Civil War and get wounded, and
Is that right?
yeah,
Wow.
screwed up his leg, and he walked with a stiff leg ever since.
And what was his last name?
Ackerman.
He was an Ackerman?
Ackerman, correct. Paul Ackerman. He was a cabinet maker by trade, learned the trade in Germany.
So she had some German, and the rest
She was German and Irish.
German and Irish.
Her mother was Irish. Her mother's maiden name was Cain, C-A-I-N.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cain was her, I gotta think for a minute, but that's what it was.
And your dad was straight Irish.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
Both parents came from, or were descended from Irish immigrants.
And your dad had some brother. Your dad had a pretty big family, is that right?
He was one of nine children. Or he was one of 9 children, I believe. He had an older half brother who died about 20 years of age from what they call consumption at that time. It was tuberculosis, I guess. And he was supposedly a jovial, redheaded kid that was the life of the party. But he didn't last very long. 20 or 21 years of age when he died.
So, how about your mother's side?
She has 3 brothers. George, John, and Rudolph. Rudy was her youngest brother, a very charming, athletic alcoholic. He was an avid baseball fan and baseball player. He died from cirrhosis of the liver at the age of 57 in about 1957.
And did he have the boy that was a scout for the White Sox?
Yeah, that was the son through his second marriage.
Huh.
Whether or not the kid actually was a scout, I'm not certain.
Who said he was a scout for the White
Yeah.
Sox? Okay. So that was Rudy, and then she had, who else?
Brother John. John had two daughters, Adele and Ruthie. Ruthie and Adele. Ruth was the older. And she had a brother named George who never got married. Oh no, he did get married, but he was married only for a short time, perhaps a year. And did I give you three brothers? Yeah.
Let's see, it was John, Rudy,
And George.
and George, okay. So were these uncles, that's a lot of aunts and uncles, I guess. Were they all around a lot when you were growing up?
Yeah. Yes, they were. Most of them.
Your dad's side of the family's kind of a rough bunch, I guess?
Oh, yes. A couple of them spent time in prisons for various offenses.
Can you remember any?
Yeah, one of them was for holdup, and the other one, I really don't know. But
Anyway, so where, was your dad one of the older boys?
he was the oldest.
He was the oldest?
That half-brother I told you that died was older than him, but my dad was the oldest one in the family, and after that, the oldest one in his full family, you know, he had a half-brother. What the hell was I gonna say? Oh, my dad was the hero of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, my grandfather had to retire early from doing hard work, so my father inherited his job at the age of 13. He was working full-time as a teamster, that is, driving a horse and wagon in Chicago.
At 13?
At 13 years of age, that's right.
Wow.
And
So what did he do when you were growing up for a living?
my dad?
Yeah.
Oh, he drove a truck after he quit with the horses, or they got rid of the horses, and he drove a truck ever since, until he retired.
He drove a truck until he retired?
Right.
And was he in the Union?
He was, and his father was one of 8 original members of the Chicago Local 705 Independent Truck Drivers. Or 8 of them broke away from the International Union and formed their own union because of some corruption within the union.
Hmm.
Several of his brothers were involved in union activities, organizing and acting as business agents. My father's brother-in-law was Timmy Doyle, who was a business agent for the Local 705 Independent.
Okay. So, your dad work a lot?
Did he work a lot?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was very solid citizen about working. He grew up responsible and feeling responsible for the family all the time. First child usually does that.
Mm-hmm.
Birth order puts you in a position to feel that you got to take care of everybody.
I remember hearing a story about his brother punched him with brass knuckles.
No, I don't think he had brass knuckles on, but he and his brother Matt had gone bowling, and Matt was an obnoxious drunk, and my father was driving him home. Matt was sitting in the seat behind him, and Matt was raising hell and reaching up and grabbing my father, and then my father stopped the truck or the automobile and got out. My aunt Irene was with him. That's Matt's wife. And she witnessed what went on. She said that they got out of the truck and Matt and my father were arguing, and three Italian guys came by, and all of a sudden one of them struck my father and knocked him down, and his head hit the concrete and fractured his skull. But I'm a firm believer that it was Matt that did it. Seeing his reactions afterward, when he sobered up the next day, and I didn't realize that for a while because I just wanted to believe what she told me, but
Right.
I'm certain it was a lie.
How old were you then?
Oh, 23.
Oh, you were older. Yeah. So how old would your dad have been then?
Now?
No, then.
He was 46. Yeah,
46?
It happened in 1946.
Wow, so he was not a young man when that happened.
No.
And he suffered from that pretty bad?
Oh yeah, I think that hurt him. He wound up with a spinal nerve disease, and I think it may have been caused by the head injury. He had a 10.5-inch fracture in the back of the skull.
Wow.
And he woke up the morning after out of his mind, just talking irrationally, and put him in the hospital, and for about 3 days he didn't make any sense talking, raving and hollering. He wanted anybody that visited him, he wanted them to bring him some whiskey. And your Uncle Huey was up there with me, and he was chewing him out because he wouldn't give him any cigarettes, and he wouldn't go get him any whiskey.
Night, Grandpa.
No, no, buddy.
Good night.
Wow. So did you ever talk to your dad about that, or did he have any recollection of the night?
Not really. I don't know what his recollections were, but he never seemed to hold any ill will toward his brother.
Huh. Wow. So how old was your dad when the First World War happened?
About 7 or 18. He was born in 1900. The war ended in 1918. He was right at the draftable age.
So he almost got drafted, I guess.
He missed it anyway.
From the historical perspective, he's pretty close. So they got married at a probably fairly young age?
23 years of age, same age as your mother. Same age. Both of them were the same age as your
Yeah.
mother and I.
Hmm.
Come to think of it.
So what was your home life like early on?
Sometimes it was crazier than hell. Once in a while they'd have a party and get all the drunken Walshes there together. It was insanity.
And this was when you were very young?
Real small.
Yeah. A lot of crazy uncles and a lot of drinking.
Right.
So what about the neighborhood that you grew up in? Was it a pretty tough neighborhood?
I suppose you could say that. Yeah. It was a mixed neighborhood, mixed nationalities. There were people of all kinds of origins. Large number of Irish and Italians.